I have called two very young people. Prajakta Kohli, one of India's biggest creators, learning sex through porn. I mean, did you learn anything?
I remember watching it for the first time and being very, very scared. Both of us were like, will we ever have to do this?
And Adarsh Gaurav, one of the finest actors of today's generation. Biggest turn on in bed.
Spooning?
Chalo, juta lekar aao koi.
When they're teaching you plant cell, they would like really get into like most detail. And reproductive, this thing is like just
Ho
like
gaya,
skim
do
through.
ho gaya, done.
You wrote a romance book.
I did. So it's called Too Good to Be True.
What, the sex. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Durex podcast. Today's episode deals with how today's generation is ending good sex. But before we even get into that, I want to come clean about something. This may come as a shock to you guys, but I'm not Gen Z. So to help me understand better what great sex and intimacy actually looks like for today's generation, I have called two very young people to speak on the topic. Prajakta Kohli, one of India's biggest creators, an actor, and who recently became an author too, and Adarsh Gaurav, one of the finest actors of today's generation. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thanks,
You?
Amay.
We're
Thank
very
you.
excited.
I am too. Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys have done this.
So we're huge fans.
No,
so
no, we've kind of freaked out outside a little bit before coming in mutually, talking about how big fans we are.
Oh, y'all are too sweet. No, I'm a fan of your work and I think y'all are doing great stuff.
Thanks.
But congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
You recently got married.
I did last
Yeah,
week.
Last week. And you've been in a relationship with your now husband for a long time,
For
right?
a while, yeah. We were together for 13 years, or more than 13 years when we
Wow.
got married, yeah.
So it's like getting married to your friend.
Yeah. Like I was just talking about it like 2 nights ago on Friday night. We've gossiped in bed for an hour, then we've made noodles, we've eaten noodles, we watched stuff, and then we've fallen asleep. And I was like, oh my god, I get to do this every single night now. So it's all quite exciting. Oh boy.
And you have been in a relationship as well, right?
Yeah.
For, you were saying 6 years?
6 years, yeah.
Amazing.
Radhika and me, yeah. We met in Bombay,
Okay.
Mumbai, and yeah, it's been 6 years now.
Wow. I think it's almost like you're growing up together because you're still very young.
Crossed the 20s with Radhika.
Yeah, same. I was 18 and Rishank was 22 when we met first.
Did you all meet your significant other online or
No.
it wasn't online?
No.
I mean, so Rishank and I actually, he saw me at a friend's place. I didn't see him, but he saw that I was holding a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And I remember उस time पे everyone had a BlackBerry. So my father had one. So I was
Yeah.
like, Baba, please give me your phone. All my friends have a BlackBerry. So I had his phone with me. So he saw it and he reached out to my friend ki I saw that she had a BlackBerry phone. Can you get me her BBM pin? And he's added me on BBM and we've spoken for 3 days straight. I've never seen the guy.
It was sliding into your DMs 2010 edition.
2011 edition, yeah.
But clearly he must have been pretty charming to
Very,
get your
very
attention.
smooth talker.
Ah.
Very, very good.
On
very
text, like
charming.
you just
on
speak or
text.
text?
He would text and us time pe, I mean, he still plays the guitar, but Rishank would like play me all these songs and send me voice clips saying,
Okay.
this is for you, this is for you, this is for you, whatever.
Would he make songs?
No.
Okay.
Like do covers,
Covers.
sing songs that we would like. But this is all in the span of like 3 days, okay? It's not a very long time.
Yeah.
In 3 days, he's asked me to be his girlfriend. And I was like, sure. And then, and then I
You
was
still
like,
hadn't seen him.
I had never met him. I said, you
what
could
was
be an
going
axe
through-
murderer for all I know.
No,
Your
that-
photos you're sending me.
That's not what came to my mind. It's just a friend's friend I trust. Okay, at worst might be somebody not interesting, but here clearly he's charming. But
Yeah.
what gets me is you'd never seen the guy.
Never seen the guy. And
What
I
if-
said, okay, I'll be your girlfriend. And then I was like, shouldn't we meet now? Now that you are my boyfriend and I'm your girlfriend. Like, there was no dating, none of that. And the next day after that, I've met him. And all my friends are like, what is wrong with you?
It didn't ever occur to you, what if I don't find him, let's say, physically attractive?
I
And
don't know.
you
Didn't
never-
think of
didn't
it
think
only.
of
But I
that.
saw him, I was like, nice.
Lucky, yeah.
Very lucky. And at that time also, like none of us thought that this is what it's going to become. I didn't
Yeah,
think
because you're
that,
like, okay, this is somebody I'm getting to know.
I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And now I'm married to
Wow.
him.
That's insane.
It's mad.
So it took 3 days for you all to...
That's it.
And we need to hang with
Wow.
this guy and ask him.
Yeah. What he
It's
did.
Like,
beautiful.
boggle his mind, yeah. But it's
Yeah.
a sweet story, though.
Yeah.
I mean, 13 years later, you got married.
13 years later, I got married.
What about you? How did you meet your girlfriend and...
Radhika and me actually met through a common friend, Priyanka. We had met once before at Radhika's friend's house, and then a few months later, she was seeing somebody at that point. And then the next time we met, she wasn't. You know, they'd split. So I remember meeting her, and this was in my old house in Amboli, and we spoke a lot about like animals, and both of us really like animals. And we also vibed a lot on the kind of music that we used to listen to. So both of us are metalheads, and she's also a musician.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that after that, we started seeing each other, right? Like 2 or 3 weeks after that, we went, watched a play, you know, we had like a few other dates like that. And then we were like, this is, you know, this feels right.
Yeah.
What's funny is that a few months after that, when we started spending a lot more time, she would notice that I'm not playing a lot of metal. Like my playlist wasn't a lot of metal. It was a lot of like Rahman and a lot of like other kinds of things. And she's like, you're such a scamster. When we met, you told me that you're a metalhead and you barely listen to metal. But I was like, no, but that's not true. Like I have a different mood. Like, you know, so sometimes I go into the zone where I listen to a lot of metal, and then for days together, months together, I don't feel like listening to metal.
You're both actors. And since we're on the Durex podcast, how do you think, like, what was your perception of love, intimacy, sex, relationships from the movies you watched, for example? And that includes, and what did you watch? Did you watch Indian films, foreign films, both, one or the other? And what was your takeaway from that?
You know, I actually didn't grow up watching a lot of films at all.
Okay.
There used to be one theatre which was accessible in Jamshedpur called Payal Talkies.
Yeah.
So I have memories of watching Yuva, of Kaante, like, you know, like one film per year. But I have this very funny incident that me and my brother actually spoke about recently, and I had forgotten about this and he reminded me. Then when Titanic had released, there was a teacher in his school who was speaking about the scene, right? The car scene in it where Rose and Jack get intimate in the car.
Oh.
And my brother was, I think, in the 7th grade or 8th grade then, and I was in the 1st grade. I was much younger. So my brother was like, oh, there is a scene like this. And he hadn't seen the film, but the teacher sort of gave a spoiler to the students, and all the students were like 13 or 14, and they were like, crazy,
ab to dekhni hai.
Haan, ab to dekhni hai. So somehow this decision was made at my, it took place at my house कि Titanic देखनी है, सबको देखनी है. तो नाना, नानी, पापा, मम्मी, mama, mami, मतलब it was like a 12 people thing collected in the living room. And only my brother knew that this scene is going to be there, and he didn't tell my dad because I think collectively वो decision लिया. So my brother was like, हाँ ठीक है. He was like a silent participant, and I was too young. So he told me that every 5 minutes, because he didn't know at what point the scene would come, he would get up and take a loo break because he was so nervous
He wasn't sure.
of that scene coming and him getting stuck with everybody else.
Yeah.
He would get up every 5-10 minutes and go take a loo break. And after this happened like 5 or 6 times, my parents were like, what is wrong with you? Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. And right when they stopped him from going to the toilet any further, that scene came. And he reminded me that everybody's eyes were glued to the screen because everybody was so shocked.
Yeah.
In India at that time, especially, I think apart from Raja Hindustani or like a couple of other films, intimacy wasn't really shown, right? So it was the first time even my grandparents were getting exposed to something that, not graphic, but like that, I don't know what the right term for it is, but
Sexual.
Yeah.
When you're growing up, when you're in school, to kiss, so like you said, Raja Hindustani also like stood out in my mind because I love Raja Hindustani.
Yeah.
But I remember that scene coming up and I was like, oh, like this is a thing. Kya Kehna was a movie that also stayed because I remember there's that one scene where वो पेड़ के पीछे होते हैं and ऐसे कपड़े उड़े side में गिरे हुए हैं, and that was a very like even the suggestion of it at that time was very like ooh. Also I grew up in a nuclear family with Mama Baba, and they were actually very, very open about conversations in the house in general. Every time I've moved out of my house after 31 years of living with my parents, and I remember in my college everyone used to be like, don't you want to like live away? Don't you want to live? I said, live and do what? Because there's nothing that I don't get to do while I'm living with my parents. ऐसे कोई restrictions, I honestly think that I lucked out when it came to that, where I've been raised in a very like communicative household. So
amazing.
I was always, अगर कुछ आता भी था तो थोड़ा सा दिख जाता था मम्मा बाबा में. मम्मा not so much, बाबा में थोड़ा सा discomfort दिख जाता था. इधर उधर ऐसा
थोड़ा. आज तुम बता रही थी कि
स्कूल में क्या हुआ.
Start talking.
So थोड़ा इधर उधर होता था, but it was never like a thing.
With your parents, was it as with hers, could you discuss sex, or was there an open communication?
No.
No, right?
No, I was never given the talk.
Yeah. So okay, neither was I.
Yeah. Also, the age difference, me and my brother is 7 years old. So by the time he was 17, I was just 10. And then he passed out from school and then went to a different city to study in college. So he
Okay.
went from Jamshedpur to Chennai.
Okay.
So by the time I came of age, there was nobody to have that talk with.
Speak and have that chat with. How did you educate yourself?
I guess to start with, like biology textbooks in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
7th and 8th grade when you're studying the reproductive system, and there's a lot of oohs and ahs in it. And in class also it was a stigma to even openly discuss it.
Also, teachers would skim past it very quickly.
The teachers themselves were embarrassed of getting into the details of it, you know. Even in biology, in other chapters, they would really like, when they're teaching you plant cell, they would like really get into like
Every cell.
most detail.
Yeah.
And reproductive, this thing is like just
हो
like
गया
skin
तो फिर
through.
हो गया done. This. I remember.
हाँ वो
this.
सीख लो डायग्राम सीख लो
हाँ.
और वो एग्जाम में ड्रॉ कर लेना. You know, but mostly it was, I think, just films and the internet.
Yeah, but the internet would be then pornography, essentially, would be your sex education. But isn't that now become much more of a problem of addiction to pornography and stuff like that? Do you have friends who, but I guess people don't talk about this kind of stuff. But learning sex through porn, I mean, did you learn anything? Did you?
Not in the early days, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I don't think porn had at that time reached that place where it had that touch of sensitivity to it. Maybe now it's, you know, it's reached a very different place. But like 20 years ago, it was very like, you know, graphic, for lack of a better word.
It's still graphic.
So, yeah, it still is.
I don't know if it's sensitive now.
But there are at least a lot more categories and a lot more things that are accessible to you as an audience.
Gotcha.
But back then it was also so like you had to be so discreet about what you're doing, you're at that age and all of that. And then what you're exposed to, it's a very one-sided way of showing the entire act, right?
Of course, yeah.
I feel like it does kind of like dehumanize people.
Yeah.
And kind of sends the wrong idea, I feel like, when you're growing up in that sense.
Yeah.
I remember watching it for the first time and being very, very scared.
Yeah.
Because adding on to what you said, also it was made for men. It wasn't really, it didn't look like what the video that I saw, it didn't look like the woman was having any fun at all.
Yeah.
So it was very scary. And I remember we must have watched like a few seconds of it.
Yeah.
And we were, because the build up is so like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know, this is going to be great.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah.
But when we got to it, both of us were like, I remember, we were like, turn it off, like, how do we make this stop? Like, the minute it began, I was like, no, I can't watch this can't be a thing. And then we went down a rabbit hole of freaking out, saying, will we ever have to do this? Like, because it sets really strange expectations
Yeah,
as women. Because I was like, this doesn't look like it's fun for the girl at all.
Also, like I remember when, you know, when you're at that impressionable age and you're so confused about all of these concepts because there's nobody to have a talk with you, and most kids of my generation who grew up in similar economic households didn't have that you know, privilege or whatever, you know. So I don't know if I can blame them.
No, the kids, they don't know what they're watching.
Yeah.
And just like as a woman, you're going, is that what we're supposed to do?
Yeah.
As a man, you're setting that example too. Like, as a man, is that what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
And I think at that age, you're trying to grow up.
Yeah, you're trying to be a man and
So
you
you're
feel
trying
like
to be a
this
man.
is the
Like,
idea
oh,
of
this
maybe...
is-
Yeah.
Wow. But can I say what I really enjoy though?
Yeah, please.
I didn't read a lot of romance novels growing up. Like a lot of the movies, like 50 Shades of Grey and all, देखने तक भी मुझे पता नहीं था that these were actually books. Like I didn't go down the whole Mills and Boons route growing up. I was 28 when I picked up my first romance novel at Delhi airport. It's called Set on You by Amy Leah. And उसमें पहली बार I've read a sex scene. And I was so blown away by how explicit and out there it was.
Yeah.
And since then, I'm not saying I read it only for that, but I'm saying since then, I've gone down this rabbit hole where I'm, I think, 230 books down since, where I have been reading romance after romance after romance, and this whole world opened up to me.
Yeah.
Which, in more ways than one, kind of also helped me understand my sexuality when it came to like, ooh, like, this is exciting to me, or this is something that didn't work for me before.
Yeah.
And it was really, really strange. It was having that experience as an adult. Honestly, I'm very grateful that it came to me through that route. So that was quite exciting.
It's interesting, I think, with like, I think with a lot of men, it tends to be a visual thing. That's why men watch pornography probably more than women.
Yeah.
I might not be perfectly right on this, but that's what I believe is
Yeah.
usually the case. Whereas women are more sensory, more feeling.
Yeah.
And
Also more imagination. I think it
So-
was great. And then there's so many windows that open up. Like when you go down this route, you realize कि इतने सारे इसके भी sub-genres हैं. Like there's romance, modern romance, which is cutesy, but there's also like romantasy, which is like fantasy and romance.
But
where all
talking of the
these-
fictional world, you wrote a romance book.
I did.
What's it called? Tell us about it.
It's-
And was it does have a great sex scene in it or not?
It does have one, but so it's called Too Good to Be True. And
What, the sex.
I mean,
Yeah, it
works
got
both ways. But when I was writing the sex scene is when I realized that I'm a very shy writer. As much as I enjoy reading,
Yeah.
I couldn't get myself to write it. So I remember
Yeah.
sending the first draft to my editor, and she came back saying, "You've built it up for 250 pages. You cannot send me a paragraph. That's not how it works. You have to write a whole chapter." So I remember freaking out so much when I was working on that chapter because उस time पे मैं ये सोच रही थी, my parents are going to read this book. And anytime I have read a book with like dirty things, मेरे को हमेशा लगता है, मैं कहो, oh, this is the writer's fantasy. Like this author
Yeah.
thinks like this, and it's almost like it's the most you
vulnerable.
bear yourself,
Yeah,
you know, when you
you're
write.
vulnerable, like, yeah.
So I always kept thinking that, oh my God, like everybody's going to think that this is what Prajakta likes or this is what she's experienced. Like, it's too personal. None of it was real. None of it was real. It is
Well,
not.
congratulations.
Thank you.
When did you come up with the book?
It released on the 13th of January.
Oh, so it's just now.
And it's already a bestseller.
And it's already a bestseller. Touch wood.
Touch wood.
What? Touch wood here.
But yeah, no, it was a really fun experience, and I think I definitely want to keep
Yeah.
doing that a lot
You
more.
should, yeah. And you did a film which was about social media addiction, right? Kho Gaye Hum Kahan?
Ho Gaya Hum Kahan, yeah. I played a social media, a gym trainer who's also trying to be a social media influencer. He's seeing a social media influencer, so you know all the pressures that come along with it, and also like he doesn't belong to that world economically, but he's trying to project this certain image
Yeah.
of himself and trying to like fit in really hard, and then how that kind of messes up his relationship with his parents and his friends, and what that does to him.
Speaking of social media and dating apps and the kind, I mean that's pretty much the world we live in today, right? It's dating apps that help people connect.
Yeah. I feel like as actors we luck out because most people don't get to meet as many people as we meet maybe in a year in their entire lifetime because
Yeah.
that's the nature of our work, right? We're constantly traveling from one set to the other,
Yeah.
befriending people, getting close to them, going out of touch, again meeting a new set of people, and it's always like 100, 200 people at once.
Yeah, and they're all very different from each
And
other.
they're all very different, very unique. So yeah, I feel like most people don't have a choice but to be on dating apps right now because that is probably the only way they can meet people.
But, I mean, I personally feel it's technology and it's helping people bridge the
Convenience.
gap.
Sure,
and
it
it's
is convenient.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And there are so many stories.
Good
that-
and bad.
Good and bad.
You all have never been on a date via a dating app, obviously.
No.
Neither of you two.
I actually, before I met Radhika, I was on for a very short while.
Okay.
But it was a bit weird, the experience I had.
In a sense?
It was just some form of catfishing where a person was pretending to be something else, and then it got into a bit like of a, you know, like a weird zone. And I understood that it wasn't the person claiming to be themselves wasn't actually the person.
Oh.
And then I was like, okay, shit. And I'm glad that it ended on like, and you know,
You didn't
and-
meet.
yeah, because I proposed that, hey, we should meet. And
Yeah.
then they were like, but let's chat. And then while chatting, a few things came up and I was like, nope, this is not for me.
Were they asking you for intimate pictures or something?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
You know, they were asking me for certain
Why else
things.
would you be catfishing somebody, right?
They were asking me for certain things to be done on video, and I was just like, this is not my idea of, you know. So I'm glad that it was a short, unsuccessful stint.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very briefly after that, I met Radhika. So
The question is for both of y'all. How do you think it affects? You can talk about it from a personal point of view or your opinion. Like, how do you think it has affected people's sex lives?
I think there's a lot more conversation around sex on social media than I think we had growing up, for example.
Okay.
There are there's an opportunity for you to learn about anything.
Yeah.
Any questions you have will get answered.
Yeah, you can reach
by
out.
the internet, or you can reach out to people
Yeah.
who actually do this. And like there are pages where people only talk about sexual health and awareness.
Yeah.
So I think that opens up a lot of opportunities for reducing confusion or any kind of doubt that I think young people would have. So in a way that's great.
Yeah.
Because now बड़े ऐसे answers थे जो हमें पहले नहीं पता थे.
Yeah,
But now
yeah.
like a lot of times when there's chat around कि Gen Z has kind of diluted the meaning of romance. It's come down to situationships, and it's just about all the other terms, benching or love bombing. And I just feel like
What is benching?
I don't know, but I think it's that कि आप you tease them enough, but they're still benched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
like
called a
they're
cock
on the
tease growing
team but
up.
not playing. So I'm guessing it's something like that. I could
Right?
be wrong.
Okay.
So ये बहुत होता है, but I honestly think that I feel like these aspects of romance have always been there. No, like you have
Yeah.
such varied encounters when you're growing up and kind of learning about your sexuality. What Gen Z did was actually just give terms to it, so it's
Yeah.
easily identifiable.
So you can identify it. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I think it's a great thing. I definitely has had an impact.
On people's sex lives.
Yeah, in
You're
many
saying
good ways
information
also.
is more readily available.
Yeah, I think a lot of things also normalize. Like how I was speaking about the books, like a lot of kinks
Yeah.
that get written about
Yeah.
were very taboo to speak of before.
Yeah.
But then you go on Goodreads and you go on Kindle and you see the reviews and you see
Yeah.
the sheer amount of people who have read it and loved it. You
Yeah.
also feel included. You also feel like,
Yeah.
"Acha, if I've liked it, I'm not strange." Like there's a lot of people
That's a
around.
good
You find your
point.
community also.
You find your community.
Because there's
yeah.
different ways that the internet kind of helps you learn about your sexuality or about sex in general.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate here since you spoke about the
Please.
positive bit.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times there's also these unrealistic expectations when you
Yeah.
watch things on social media, because also that is a projection, right? A lot of
Yeah.
it.
I guess
So there's a
good and
scene in
bad.
Kho Gaye Hum Kahan where a guy is asking out a girl, and the girl is like, hold on, don't ask me out here. It has to be like, she stops him from asking out,
Yeah.
in that place, because, you know, maybe it's inside a car in a garage in Mumbai somewhere.
Yeah.
She's like, this can't be here, this has
can't
to
be
be in the
here.
Maldives, and this has to be recorded.
That's terrible. That's a terrible.
But it's the
that's-
truth.
It's
Yeah.
it's to his point, and I
That is
think
true.
what you're saying is also true, but what he's saying is also true.
100%.
Do you think the rise of dating apps has led to a more hookup culture? You know, like a decline of meaningful relationships?
I think people were a lot more patient with each other before.
Yeah, I agree.
And you don't need to be patient when a person's wrong, but
Yeah.
I still feel like you need to have a certain sense of compassion and understanding in a relationship. But
Yeah.
I feel like because of accessibility, I feel
Yeah.
like that definitely around me, I've seen that changing.
Well, I guess you might think like, oh, I don't want to settle down. There's so much more to explore.
Yeah.
So,
I
you know.
feel like the idea of romance is definitely taking a new shape.
Honestly, I really wish I had a more informed answer. I have like 3 friends. So,
Yeah.
like this chatter.
There was literally like everybody at your wedding project, so you don't have 3 friends.
It was close family and friends. No, like 3 friends, as in like जब हम साथ
There
में
where they
we've
talk
grown
about
up
sex. Okay, yeah,
and कि we'll
yeah.
talk
No, fair
about
about
things
these
like
things.
this. So हम again, like I said, कि मेरे immediate experiences में मैंने देखा है where friends of mine are actually looking for that connection but not able to find it.
But is that
And-
because people are seeing, oh, there's this one and there's that one, and I
yeah,
can go
so
there
I think
and I
the
can
whole
go here?
options way, like the optionality
Swiping
of
is
it,
easy
yeah,
now.
yeah, but it's also overwhelming
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
So I really wish I had a more informed answer or a more
That's okay.
informed
This is an
perspective
informed answer. I mean,
to this, but I think it's definitely adapting into a newer phase. So yeah,
I feel like also with the rise of social media and apps, there's also a lot more emphasis that I see placed on the physicality of people,
Yeah.
on preferences,
Yeah.
which wasn't very present earlier.
No,
People
it's
used to be a
more
lot
so.
more flexible.
Yeah.
But now, say for example, don't swipe right if you're below 6 feet.
Oh?
Yeah.
That's true. So many of my friends have told me that. I'm just like, that's kind of crazy for people to go through that. I mean, I'm lucky, you know, like I'm below 6 feet. My girlfriend's taller than me, and we've been together for 6 years.
Yeah.
But what about everybody who's not?
जैसे पहले भी यही होता था ना, if you're looking, जो testimonials आते थे न्यूज़पेपर में कि हमें गोरी लड़की चाहिए या
Definitely.
गोरा लड़का चाहिए.
No, but I think
ऐसा
it's,
चाहिए, वैसा-
it's just
I
more
think it's always,
visually prevalent now. Earlier it was.
wasn't it even then?
It was always there, but I think it's more pressure now because it's more available and accessible. So the pressure is more.
Yeah.
Earlier, ठीक है, newspaper में लिखा हुआ था.
No, but I'm
it's
saying कि
written.
society में expectation
Yeah.
was always similar.
It's always there, yeah.
Yeah.
And which is why we are
It's
here
taken
today.
this shape and form now
It's
of
taken
this,
it's
yeah.
morphed in
Yeah.
this, and now it's
Yeah.
more prevalent and more
Morphed.
visible.
Yes.
You know,
That was
and so
the
the
word I was
pressure seems to be more.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's also, I think, so like sex is so subjective
Yeah.
Yeah.
to everyone, right? Like there is
Yeah,
there is
exactly.
never a right or wrong. You
There's a
can
right or
never
wrong. You
draw a line saying, "चलो ये सही है, ये गलत है, ये
Yeah.
आपके
Yeah.
साथ." There are so many relationships that personally I fail to understand. Where I'm like, but how? But you? But how?
Because I don't have people.
But yeah, but there is, it's working for them.
Yeah.
And it's so subjective. And the older, like you said, the older you grow, the more you realize that there's all kinds of minds.
Yeah.
And all kinds of
bonds
relationships.
and relationships and all kinds of things that turn people on and
Yeah.
off, that work for them, that don't work for them.
Yeah. There's no right or wrong.
There,
as
I don't
such,
think
and
that there is that you can actually put down on paper.
I guess what it boils down to is how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can just be physically active with somebody and not expect to be emotionally
Yeah.
involved, and it's fine by you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you need that emotional intimacy, someone's pressuring you.
Yeah.
Without it, then it's
It's
okay
not,
to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like everybody, I just got married, so everybody's like, how's it going? I was like, bro, I saw him load the dishwasher. He's never been hotter, honestly. So it's so subjective at this
Wait,
point.
so yeah, you're living in for the first time.
Yeah, we are.
Now, what is your love language? Like everybody has a love language, so to speak.
I'd say a lot of memes.
Lots of
See,
memes.
social media.
Yeah. Social media.
No, but that's humor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Humor is a big part of your love language.
Yeah. And also horror films.
And horror films?
Horror
Okay.
films. We bond, like Radhika and me bond a lot over horror films.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
I get with that.
wow.
Like, you know, like our ideal Friday night date would be to just be at home, Netflix and chill.
Love that.
And put on like a horror film, order some good hummus and, you know, good Mediterranean food and
Yeah.
yeah, enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very similar for me too, actually. Humor, 100%.
Yeah.
Again, memes is a very important part.
Yeah.
And I think Rishank and I, our favorite thing to do is make momo at home
Okay.
and have beer. And because making momo is such a tedious process,
Yeah.
you know, from A to...
Shit, and he must like get right into the detail of it, right? Because
Oh,
he's seen it like
it's
since he
very
was,
close to
yeah.
home for him. You cannot mess around with momo when you're making it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that has always been our thing. Anytime we've had a fight,
Yeah.
the other one will always say कि आज मोमो बनाना है क्या? अरे ठीक है बनाते हैं तो हमारा उस पे बॉन्डिंग हमारी दोस्ती दोबारा से उस पे हो जाती है so that's very I think that's our love language.
But I do the same, you know, every time we have a fight, or I feel like the only way I can mend this, and it's not necessarily true, and that's not what she wants to hear, but I'm like, hey, do you want me to call for dessert from this place? And she's like, you can't call for dessert every time
Every
and
time.
buy
That's
me
not
off
how you
like
fix
that.
it.
That's not how you fix these things.
You talked about earlier saying that there's so much more access and how one can find one's community and not feel abnormal
Yeah.
because realize, hey, if I have this,
Yeah.
I don't have to be shamed.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of did address that. But
Yeah.
what are your views on kinks, perhaps? I mean,
I guess don't surprise them like randomly, be like, here it
Enters
is.
the house and everything has changed.
wedding night,
Let
and
it.
her husband opens the door and suddenly there's like cups and there's a bed and
Oh,
there's
God.
chairs. It's like, okay, baby,
Rishank
now.
would just
Yeah.
close the door and walk away.
Try not to make it look like
It's
an
time
Alfred
that I
Hitchcock
told you,
film.
honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like try not to look like Norman Bates. Like just like suddenly, you're just like holy shit.
Yeah, don't spring it on them. I
Yeah.
think that's one
But
way
I
to
wonder
go
if
about
that's
it.
even possible. I don't think people spring these things on people. I suppose when you're getting to know someone, I suppose these things must come up. I guess.
I
Yeah, no, for
hope.
sure. They should. I feel like at least for me, like,
Yeah.
I mean, although sometimes it's nice to
Be
be
surprised.
surprised, but it
Yeah, of
depends on the
course.
level of.
Yeah.
Like it's not shocked, you know, like
no,
surprised
honey, I
is
don't want a
fine.
threesome. It's fine. That was not part
Who's
of
this?
Who are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I suppose
Communication is where it all boils down
we did
to,
talk
I
about
guess.
you
yeah.
did mention communication, yeah. What does let's end good sex mean to you?
I think to genuinely take an interest about what your partner wants and
Yeah.
desires.
Nice, yeah.
I feel like that genuinely elevates the quality of sex that you have.
Yeah.
The ability to listen and be more like perceptive in a way, be more empathetic,
Communication.
and yeah, communicate with your partner.
100%.
Communication.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
he said.
Yeah.
100%. I think that can just level up.
Yeah.
I mean, this has also been something I learned about myself as I grew older.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's a rite of passage. But you cannot expect, and could sound cliche, but I swear to God, it's worked so well for me. You cannot expect someone to love you correctly till you know how you want to be loved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what I expected out of my partner because I wasn't completely sure what my likes and my dislikes were, or what excited me, what turned me off, what helps me trust more, what gets me guarded. I think the more time I spent in understanding that and liking all sides of me without judgment and knowing exactly how I want to be loved is when I think things kind of took a great turn with my partner as
Yeah.
well. So you cannot expect someone to love you unless you know how you love yourself or how you want to be loved.
Nice.
So I think that changes a lot of things.
Bang on, yeah.
I guess that's something you just learn growing up.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times, and you know, I've been guilty of the same, is that people are focused on the bigger things. But I feel like it's the smaller things that actually make
Yeah.
the relationship more interesting, more stimulating, the sex great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like small things like, you know, if you have a plant, for example, you know, changing the soil together. For both of us, I mean, Radhika is much more into plants than I am.
Yeah.
But now because of her, I'm also interested in that. So like, you know, sometimes we just like change the soil, and she talks to me about the plant and, you know, like where it's originated from, etc., etc. And it's these smaller things, cooking together, like, you know, you being the sous chef or whatever, however that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cleaning up the house together.
Yeah.
Tidying a space together. I feel like it's these smaller things that actually build a connection
Yeah.
and make it more interesting. And
100%.
Yeah.
So both of you are in long-term relationships, right? And I imagine long-term relationships are because you have a real connection to your partner, right?
Yeah.
And Durex as a brand has always been about real connections and real pleasure. So we have a little surprise for you. We've come up with a game. It's called the Real Feel and Real Connection game. We secretly got in touch with your partners. We took a list of their likes and dislikes. And now we have that list.
Oh, wow.
And the game is about asking you what their likes and dislikes are.
You know what's funny is कि हमने पूरे podcast पे इतना ज्ञान दिया है about intimacy and connection.
Knowing your
और
partner.
अब अगर एक भी गलत
Watch
हुआ
us miserably fail.
fail at this, it's going to be so embarrassing.
Oh God.
I couldn't have
too
put
much
it better
pressure.
myself.
And my partner's right here.
We should hand over some shoes and stuff to her. Like every time you get it wrong,
Please don't plant these
little
ideas.
heel is gonna come your way. But so yeah, every time you get an answer right, you're gonna get a Real Feel box.
Okay.
And every time you get it wrong, your
give
partner's
it
gonna
back
throw
to you.
shoe at you. Yeah. And at you maybe. Just to compensate for your partner not being here.
God, and she's
so,
wearing boots.
you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start with you.
Okay.
What is Radhika's favorite color?
Black?
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, look at her right now.
Who is more likely to make the first move in bed? You or Radhika?
Radhika?
Okay, he's doing really well, by the way. So, I have a very high bar to match.
I will.
What is Radhika's biggest turn on in bed?
Spooning?
What do you say?
Spooning?
Chalo, juta lekar aao koi. Eye contact.
Oh,
what you just
God.
did when you... I was like, wait a minute, you just did that. All right. Her biggest mood killer in bed?
Having a fight?
Your ringtone.
Your
Or when your phone rings, rather.
Sorry?
when the phone rings.
When the phone rings.
Yeah. And also...
Oh God, yeah. She hates it.
Yeah, well, you should
Absolutely
have
hates it.
remembered.
Yeah.
If she had to describe your first kiss using a movie title, what would that be?
The ocean is so big.
Oh yeah, so just maybe pick a film that maybe you think is her favorite, or perhaps a film that maybe you made out while watching. Could be that. Who knows?
Luck by chance?
National treasure.
Oh,
That's a good one, by the way.
For more reasons than one.
But this was a difficult one. If Radhika hadn't met you, which celebrity would she secretly crush on?
Mark Ruffalo?
Yep. Yeah, I think you got the essential ones.
Yeah.
A night of deep conversations with Adarsh or a full day of cuddling with him? Which one would she pick?
I think a full day of cuddling.
This is a tough one. It's unfair. She said both.
Oh.
So you get it wrong.
Okay. well, I get 50% right.
Half a packet.
Give me like
Half a
half,
box.
tear it.
I have to open it and tear one condom out.
One for you.
What is Radhika's idea of a perfect date?
Watching a horror film and eating from Tanjore Tiffin.
I love Tanjore.
You actually kind of got it right in a different way. Good food
Yeah.
and a lap dance from Adarsh, which could be the horror film, I suppose. I should give him that. Should I give him
Give
that?
him two. One for the lap dance.
I just want to say you'd be surprised.
I'd be surprised. It's yeah. I'll
You
survive.
would be if you got a lap dance from him. You would be surprised.
So should I give him that? He did mention the South Indian
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fine. We'll be kind.
Come on, guys. It's a hard game.
Should we? We can give him that one. Yeah. No, the other one he doesn't get. So now we come to you, Prajakta.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's 1-4.
I think he'll win. I'm not so sure about
Think
this.
so?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's see. Vrishank's favorite go-to food,
Momo. Or dal, bhat and chicken.
like
Chinese.
yeah, it's
Hey, you
country name.
can't get so many,
Chinese?
so many guesses.
Sorry.
Country name, I said.
Chinese, I think.
Okay. Japanese or Korean? So you lose that.
Okay, Korean. He does like Korean. Okay, I lose
I'm
that.
sorry, I'm being such an asshole and like celebrating. Getting
That's fine.
It's like
You
a
are every-
It is a
competition.
competition.
Yeah.
It is.
It is
Yeah,
a competition. Vrishank's biggest turn on.
How to say it? I don't know. He's answered this.
Mm-hmm.
Conversation?
It says intelligence and smartness.
Such generic answers, Rishank.
Just for that, I won't give it to you.
Oh my god.
Because I thought conversation is smartness, but you don't get
Intelligence and smartness.
it. What is his biggest mood killer?
My Kindle, I think.
Your Kindle?
Yeah.
It says stupidity. If Vrishank had to describe your first date using a song, what would it be?
Is it Duba Duba?
Are you gonna be my girl?
What song is that? It has no
says
significance
Jet.
to our relationship.
Jet.
Are you gonna be?
Yes, but I've never heard him sing that song for me.
No, but if you had to describe your first date using a song.
But see, now he listens to music that I don't listen to, so I would never know. I'm going to lose this game.
You already lost
You
it.
already
I've
lost
already lost this game.
If Vrishank hadn't met you, which celebrity would he secretly have a crush on?
Penelope Cruz.
Yay! One.
One, thank God.
Nice one.
A romantic getaway with Prajakta or a wild staycation with her?
Aren't they both the same? Because we'll go
No,
away
romantic
somewhere
Getaway or a staycation
and we'll
is-
stay in only.
Whatever, staycation technically
I think
means you
staycation.
stay in the house.
He said romantic getaway, no?
Yes. What is Vrishank's idea of a... Everything she said was all false.
I made it all up. I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing with my life.
What is Vrishank's idea of a perfect date?
Staying in, having a drink, watching something, cooking. Momo? He's not mentioned Momo
तू
anywhere.
सब बोल दे, सब बोल दे.
No,
तू.
no. Yeah, it's बहुत लंबा आंसर दिया है. But I didn't stop her. You know why? Because he's literally given something like that. Music, making momos, beers,
See,
wine at
Momo.
home.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, good.
You said staying in, wine,
Beer,
wine at
drink,
home,
huh?
beer you said, and momo. So,
Momo.
Yeah.
so that's what
Oh,
I
thank
was
God. Some redemption.
So
Nice
ठीक है. You get 2, he gets 4.
That's it?
So,
We're done?
We're done.
Le.
Yeah.
So bad.
Clearly, he knows his partner better than you.
No, but also in her defense, like he's given very,
Very generic answers. They had
He also
something.
cancelled the spice part. He didn't want to
Then I
answer
think
in bed part.
stupidity.
Yeah.
Intelligence is a term.
Yeah. Now that we've reached the climax of the episode, I am going to take you to what we call the pleasure wall. As the name suggests, yeah, it's about going from good sex to great sex.
Wow.
And we have everything from like condoms and lubes. And we're going to have you select what you like and put it in a hamper for you.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
So, welcome to the Durex pleasure wall.
I'm gonna pick up something from.
Really? Look at you.
Nah, like he's picking the right things. If you want, I could quietly slip something into your basket. And if you want lubes,
Yeah.
I guess the natural ones.
and there's a massage one as well.
This looks pretty interesting. It's called Performa Capsules Men Elevate, helps improve performance, helps increase testosterone.
Yeah, you could also work out with that, I suppose. Right? More testosterone,
Yeah.
better.
I like the real feel.
Real feel.
Yeah, real feels good.
You know, some intense chocolate or bubble gum extra thin.
Prajakta, your basket is empty.
I have never shopped. Like I've never gone and picked up condoms.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have no clue. The games look interesting though.
Yeah.
It's called Snap, a game where everyone wins.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantasy role play.
Fantasy role play.
I mean, you are an actor, so
Right?
it's only fitting.
Just feeds into yeah.
And you have tablets for performance also.
This was a good shopping trip.
No more secrets, only surprises. This is a card game where you and your partner take turns to spill your sauciest secrets in return for a pleasant surprise. I like this. Like I'm gonna take 2 games.
So I'm glad that you liked some of the stuff. And,
did.
Don't tell me how it went. I trust you'll have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. We trust the games.
So thank you guys for doing
Thank
this.
you.
It
Thank
was
you.
a lovely episode. I'm really grateful for you to come and do this with me. And I hope that what you shared is going to help somebody out there, guide them, lead them, or at least inspire them, you know, to do the things you said. So
No, this was so exciting for
Yeah.
us. I mean, this is honestly the first time I'm talking about sex so openly.
Same.
Yeah, I never done that before.
Same. Mom and
thank-
Dad, if you're watching.
They were all lies.
yeah, and I think it's important for us to do this. The more we do this, the more people will start to
Yeah.
feel, okay, it's a normal part of life.
Yeah.
And you have done a lot for a lot of people by doing this. And for being so vulnerable, it takes a lot of courage.
Oh, thank you for having us.
This
Thank
this
you.
strangely feels like the talk I should have had 20 years ago.
I know, right?
Yeah.
All of us feel that way.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks. Thank you. And that's it for this episode, guys. My takeaway for today would be that whether you're young or not, everybody is different. Some love monogamy, while some want to explore something else. Some love missionary, some love handcuffs. And there's nothing wrong with that. What is important is that you and your partner are always on the same page, are ready to openly talk about it, and are open to trying new things. And that is what makes good sex great. And as always, if you enjoyed the episode, like and subscribe to the channel and go spread some riz and good vibes around.
That's not how you use razor, right?
It was a terrible word anyway. See you next time. Ciao.